We're on. Okay.
That's the best way to do it.
I know.
I don't overthink it.
We didn't have to butter you up at all.
No.
You were ready to. You were lubed
fucking,
up.
I'm all lubed.
You are lubed
no
up.
No fucking joke. I'm always lubed up. I love lube. I can't talk. If I die and they're like, Dr. Emily Morse, known for putting a lube on every nightstand, I would so be okay. Because lube is the most underrated sex condiment there is.
Do you think it's because the name lube sounds kind of stupid?
Yeah, well, there's
lube.
Lube. All sex names are stupid, by the way.
Yeah.
But lube, even anal. You're like anal. Like I would like anal if it didn't sound like anal. But
lube needs a new marketing team.
Exactly. It does. But you know why lube gets a bad rap? Is because, yes, it sounds terrible. However, it's because there's shame around you losing lube. Because a dude is like, oh, I didn't turn her on enough, so my dick was probably too small or something, and she didn't get hot enough. And then the woman feels like, oh, if I have to use lube, then I'm broken.
Yeah.
But the truth is that when you add, first off, your wetness, we're just going to get into it.
Yes.
Because your wetness level, here, this is going to like maybe blow some people's mind, is not an indicator of arousal. Meaning, you could be really turned on and not wet, or you could be wet and not turned on.
Oh, wow.
Because our cycles,
I was about to say,
I've
definitely been turned on like peeing, and then I'm just like, oh, I'm definitely ovulating because that is heaps of something in my underwear.
Exactly. But then heaps. You're like, don't need a lube today. But the thing I like about lube, it's kind of like sunscreen. Like, you know, when it's cloudy out and you still could get that suntan, like when you use lube, it's a safety measure.
And
can you have enough lubricant?
Can you ever be too wet?
No, I don't think so. I mean, some people, okay, I've used to say that. No, there are some people who get really wet. And
but like lube will never hurt the experience.
Lube is never going to hurt.
What do you think about the ones that smell kind of, they have like all these smells?
Like flavored lubes?
Yeah,
I like flavored lubes. I like System Joe lube. It's the only ones. They have like creme brulee. I'm going to give a plug because we just launched a marketplace on my website, sexwithemily.com, that we've just been working on for like a really long time.
Yes.
Because after all these years, I was like, I just want to put my favorite products in one place.
Yes.
And there's literally, okay, so let me talk about flavored lube. It's so good for oral sex. There's one that tastes like creme brulee, mint chocolate. And it's delicious that I literally have in my hands and I'm like, I eat it. And then I'll give a blowjob. Yes, it tastes so good.
I feel like sometimes if the lube doesn't smell that great, like it's a weird like strawberry flavor, it smells like I'm fucking a jewel.
Yeah. You're fucking,
like, is that mango?
Yeah, exactly. Like you're fucking your vape. No, but no, there are some lube. I don't know what the smell, but yeah, some smells could be bad, but the flavored ones are just delicious.
I know that once I started using lube, it was like a game changer. And I was definitely one of those people that was like, I don't need lube.
Well, right. This is what they say.
I am like fertile and young and just slipping around. And it's like, let's be honest. You don't always want to have a 30-minute prep sesh to get ready.
Yeah. It's like the sure thing. You just squirt it on. And like finally, there have been studies that show when you add lube to any sexual situation, women are 80% more likely to orgasm.
So it's a
because
feminist.
It's slippery.
It's a feminist organization.
Exactly. Exactly. Right? And the reason we don't know that is because the patriarchy. So I just want everyone to.
Wait, this is amazing. Okay, you guys, we have Dr. Emily Morse on the pod coming in strong with lube and communication. Yeah. And I did have you on during COVID, like a while ago. I remember I was already like amazed that I somehow got you on the pod, but I just felt like the listeners were obsessed with you. And there's no one as educated and open and kind of that I get along with as well as you to speak on this. So I'm so happy you're here. And you have your new book.
You're here. Out today. Yeah.
Out today.
Out right now. This is the first, like literally this is today. Like no one could get it till right now. And now it's on sale.
It's smart sex. I think I have it already at home. How to boost your sex IQ and own your pleasure. I think when you say sex IQ, it makes it more like something that you should know.
Yeah, exactly. That was the point. I mean, so when I was writing the book, I was like, okay, I'm going to give you all my tips of 20 years is like my top tips. I've been doing my podcast for 18 years, believe it or not. I was like, oh, here's my tips. And then I realized like sex is not just about these tips. It's about literally your sex IQ, which has never been done before, never been talked about before. But much like emotional intelligence in the 90s where people were like, oh, I'm only smart if my SAT scores are high. It was like, no, do you have empathy? Do you have compassion? With smart sex, it shows you that there's so many things that go into being a great lover, and it's not about how many people you slept with, how the size of your penis. It's not about your looks. It's really about 5 pillars of sexual intelligence that I get into in the book. But
Yes.
that's what it is, like sex IQ. And I also thought smart sex, like nobody wants to be dumb at sex, right? We want to all get better.
It's kind of
I'm
like
always learning too.
sex for dummies.
Yeah.
Like, but it's true. I think about what we learned about in school, and I'm like, why did no one tell us to pee after sex in school?
Right.
It was like this rumor going around. You might not be comfortable talking to your parents about it, and next thing you know, it burns when you pees. When you pees.
Yeah, when you pees, it burns.
When you pees, it burns. So I also saw people were talking about you dropped a lot of bombs, like beautiful bombs in this book. You mentioned, wait, I'm pulling up exactly. Meditate, masturbate, manifest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The triple M.
The triple M's.
What in the hell is that?
Okay, so here's what it is. You already know how to meditate, right? We meditate, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. So this is why I love this. This is a practice that people can do to kind of get what they want in life. It's sort of a merging of your creative energy and your pleasure. So you can meditate, and it can be for 3 minutes, 10 deep breaths. Because I don't want people to feel like it's another thing to do. Just meditate. And then we all know how to masturbate, I hope. But I am a huge fan of masturbation. And then at the moment of orgasm, I want you to manifest. Think about something that you want to happen, that as if it's already happening. It could be like your dream for your job, your relationship, your life. And then what happens is that is the most potent, magical energy that happens at that moment. It's like cultivating creative energy at the moment of pleasure is just bam, you put it out there. And this shit works. And people were like, this was in the New York Times the other day. They did an interview with me, and there was all these comments like, that's magic, that's not real. And I'm like, our thoughts become our reality.
Yes.
So if you think negative thoughts, like since I'm prone to negative self-talk, and I just know that when I turn it around, my self-talk, like shit is so much better. So that's what meditate, masturbate, manifest is.
I'm obsessed with that.
Really, like that's, if you're ever going to make something happen, why not like use your sexual energy, which is the most powerful, potent energy.
So I had heard about this in LA, and I started to do a stand-up bit about it where I was like, that's crazy, I need to try it. And that when I'm about to come, I yell, I want my dad to love me. And then it gets really complicated and weird. But it's whatever you need in that moment.
Hey,
but
whatever works.
I 100%.
Right.
I do. I'm like you. I'm actually so hard on myself.
Yeah.
And the second I realized that I don't have to be hard on myself and I could be nice to myself, it was like I found a cheat code. Like I was like, wait, you could walk around and not beat yourself up?
How did you turn? Yeah.
I think it's because it wasn't sustainable anymore. That it was like, are we going to live like the rest of my life like this? Or can we just stop? Like,
That
I think
is
I got
such a beautiful
tired. That's why I think
example.
your 30s are so good. You get
Yes,
tired. You're like,
you-
I don't have the effort to give myself like a whole spiel every morning about all the negative things going on in my life.
No, I think that is such a great, and I love that you're sharing that, because it's like, you have to remember it, and you have to catch your thoughts, and they have to realize like, yeah, they're not serving you. It's exhausting. And then you have to also think like, I wouldn't talk to my friend like that. Like, why are we talking to ourselves like that? But that's so liberating. So
I
liberating.
like
to stop
talking
realizing
about
that.
mental stuff with you
too.
because sex is so integral
Yes.
to your mind. And girls, I've been making this joke, and I think it's been going around the internet, the concept of like, we either will come in 2 minutes or like 2 business days. Like, you know, it starts and you're like, this is not going to happen. Or
Exactly.
what is the concept behind like when you're first hooking up with a guy and he's like fingering you, getting to that place where you even feel comfortable?
Yeah, no, it's such a good question. So first off, it is integral. The thing about sex is that it's like our brain is the largest sex organ, okay? Let's just be
Yeah.
honest. Like, it's not about someone having the right moves and all these things. So that's what I also talk about in smart sex is like sexual intelligence is that it's mental, spiritual, psychological, all the things. So so you're saying when a guy's fingering you, what happens?
Yeah, like when
why-
you're first in that moment, I know I get really in my head.
Okay.
I'm like,
Oh,
is
a
my
new
face looking
partner.
weird?
Okay.
Am
So-
I sweating?
Right.
Do I have any emails in my inbox?
Right. This is it. We all, like, I'd say one of the most top questions I get asked is, how do I stay present and focused during sex? Because we're all worried about, how do I look? What are they thinking? And first I can tell you, and this might not, like, believe me, that your partner is not thinking about the things that you're worried about at all. Like I've never had a guy be like, I really liked her until I noticed that she had a nipple that was heading south. And that was so bizarre that I decided to end the relationship.
That's true.
Like we worry about so many things. And so one of the things is being present with your pleasure. So I think when we can learn to be more, and one of the pillars of sexual intelligence is in being embodied. Like how in my body, am I actually feeling what is happening in the moment? This person, if you can just learn, like, and one of the best tips that I can give you is when you find yourself wandering during sex like that, you're like, okay, this new guy's fingering me. How do I smell? How do I look? To go back to the five senses. And so when you think about your five senses, you're like, okay, what is it actually, if your mind's going tripping, you're like, what am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling his finger inside me. That actually feels good. So that would be the feeling. What am I hearing? Okay, I'm hearing that playlist. What am I smelling? I'm smelling the massage, I'm smelling the candle. I always like light this vanilla candle. So when you go through your senses and you ground in the moment, you can't be in the past and you can't be in the future because it's a presence. So that to me is like how when my mind is going places, I just think, go back to what am I feeling? What am I feeling? I'm feeling his finger inside. Go back to that moment, you know?
So out of thoughts and more into your feelings.
Into your feelings, into your body.
Do you feel like sexual compatibility is really important, or can you like communicate yourself into being compatible with anyone?
I love this question because I used to think like, okay, so this is like a multi-layered question.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something here. If you don't have attraction ever, like if you were never attracted to the person, it was never great at the beginning. You didn't have the like honeymoon phase, but you're like, it was never that great and I want to know how to spice it up. That's tricky. Like you can't create it out of nowhere. Like, have you ever dated someone where you're like, they're really good on paper. I'm going to try to talk myself into it.
Yes.
Same. If
Sometimes
it's not
even just their pheromones, you're like, I can't put my finger on it.
You got to listen to that. Like you got to bail. Like that relationship is not going to work. But if you, like all relationships, over time, it's not as hot as it was in the beginning. It's never going to be, first off. It's like the first 2 years of a relationship, it's really hot. Sex is great, and it can always be great, but it starts to just take a nosedive after a while. Sex always does. It's our biology. Then you can work on it. Then you can say, like, let's talk about sex. Let's talk about what turns us on. But I think it's hard to, but I also want to say this, is that the first time you're with someone, because I get asked this all the time, and I'll bet when you put on your Instagram, people are like, he was a bad kisser, so I dumped him. Or he was bad in bed the first time, and I dumped him. Like that, I think, is, if you had chemistry but things went awry, you're probably nervous. You've never been together. Give him another chance.
I agree.
Multi-layered.
I've had like first sex times where I think he was like very nervous or I was nervous, and then like we calmed down and it got great.
Yeah.
But it's also, you can't call people off too quickly. I also know that some people though, like I've gotten into situations where the guy's like super dominant or like super aggressive, and I might not be into that. I'm like, I don't want to be pushed around in the bedroom. So do you recommend being like communicate through that, or maybe he's not the right dude for you?
Communicate through that. So here's the thing. We all make assumptions, a lot of times based on our last partner. Like if some guy's dominant with you, he's like, my girlfriend loved when I choked her. And then he's with you choking you. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? So this is why, like everything I talk about, like most of what I talk about in life is about communication. It's a lot of tips, but it's how do I communicate about my needs to a partner? Your partner is not a mind reader. They're not going to know what you want. And so you got to communicate your way through it. And my tip is to do it outside the bedroom. It's really, unless you're like hurting you. You're like, don't choke me. You can gently guide them. You can move their hand away. You can say that's, kind of body language is huge. But I love the idea of talking about it when you're on a date, when you're just, not in the bedroom, but definitely talk about your needs. And also, this is not common. Like most people don't talk about their sex life in a healthy way.
I was about to say.
Most people don't. I would say, and I can say this, 99% of couples don't have healthy communications about sex only because they don't know how.
Yeah, because I feel like it's pretty much like you live your life and then the lights go off and you fucking wing it. And then like goes back on and you're like, do you want anything to eat?
Exactly. You're like, I'm just going to close my eyes and hope for the best. Like, hopefully we figure this shit out. And most people don't, because it's so shrouded in mystery. There's so much shame. There's so much embarrassment around sex. So a lot of what I do is I teach people tools. Like I actually give scripts in Smart Sex about how to have those awkward conversations about sex. How to say like, this is what I need. What would you like? How could we make this better? How could we make this hotter? And again, if people are going, I don't even know, that's okay to not even know what you want. I think that the work I do in this book, but even with your partner, you can figure it out together. We know more than we think if you've had sex, you can think about what you liked about it and what you didn't like about it. So I help people kind of gather that information and then figure out how to explain that to a partner while also listening to what they want.
Yeah.
It becomes fun after a while.
Well, I was about to say, I think people are not coachable, but like if he tells me something he likes, I'm like, yes, I can do that because I can't read your mind.
Right. We want the information. Don't you want your partner to tell you? Like like our partners, they want to know. But I have to tell you, when I started out, I didn't know. Like partners used to say to me, "What do you want?" They'd say like, "Does that feel good?" And I'd say, "Yeah, whatever you're doing feels good." And then they'd say, "Well, what else do you want?" I'm like, "Oh, you're good," because I didn't know what I wanted. And so I had to go on like a journey of myself, which is why I started this career. I was like, what do I want in bed? So, but I do think the right partners are coachable. The right partners are like, hell yes, thank you, thank you. And most men, like the vagina is the Rubik's Cube of life. They're like, I do not know what to do with this thing. So if you're like, hey, I want a finger inside. I don't want a finger inside. I want you to go slower. They're like, thank God.
I did read something about advice where it said, when in doubt, go 5 times slower.
Yeah, that's one of my top tips. Yeah. Go slow. Slow it. What do you think about that?
No, I completely agree because I make I talk about sex a lot in my stand-up, and I do have this bit about like, because I was doing these college gigs and talking to women in their like teens and early 20s, and I'm like, oh no, you guys are having really bad sex right now, aren't you? And they started laughing because I remember in my 20s, because you don't know what you want. He's jackhammering the shit out of you.
Exactly.
And you're just like, this is sex. And I think I can handle it. I think he didn't break my pussy.
That's exactly it.
And you just assume, or he's watched like porn where they're doing like wild stuff. What's your opinion on porn?
It's a disaster only because, like, no offense. Like, I do watch porn. I like porn, but porn without sex education is a disaster because we're gonna have like, let's have no sex education in schools, teach people nothing but fear, like you might get pregnant or you might get an STD or here's your ovaries. And but don't have sex, and then go out and have sex, and then all we see is porn. So no education, it's misleading information, it's fear based, and then you see porn, and you're like,
which is like WWE. For
it's
sex.
WWE for sex.
You're like, that's not real.
Thank you. It's not real. I actually want to do something where we're all watching porn together and I stop it and I do like a ring and I'm like, that's not real. Yeah. He's nowhere near her clitoris. Like she's not really squirting, you know?
Okay, so my problem
with
porn is, and I've talked about this a lot on the pod because I'm on a porn journey where like I self-actualize. Like I like to watch women in porn. Like I like to watch a girl who looks like me, even just her touching herself because it's like safe. Yeah. Where like when a guy's involved, I'm like, oh no, she doesn't like that. Or I'll be like, I don't like that he did that and I don't think she's liking it. And then I can't like it. And so I'm in my head about that. And then I'm trying to watch it with my partner, but we're both comedians. So we're having so much trouble. It ruins the mood every time. Like, because something awkward's happening, we're looking at each other and we're like, so then sometimes I joke with my friend that like, I want to find the right porn to watch together because I think a girl is attractive.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I don't want him to think she's too attractive. Because then I'm like, oh, we're both watching a girl who's like really hot.
Right.
That doesn't work in my like straight black and white monogamous mind.
Right.
Of how I live every day.
Ah, yeah, that's
tricky. It seems like dirty and crazy, and I didn't think it through.
I would think. Well, I get that. If you're in a trusting relationship, though, but I get it. You don't want to be like, okay, you know what? Have you ever watched any ethical porn? Like Balesa or
Yes.
Or,
that stuff is
Erica
good.
It's like, what I like about this porn, and ethical porn actually sounds so not hot. You're like, you had me at porn, but then ethical, like I'm out. It's not sexy. It's a buzzkill. But the thing about ethical porn, it has real body types, like women actually getting pleasure in the way that we want to. It's not jackhammer sex.
Yes.
And you find like different bodies, different ways that you might find something in there that's a little bit more
Yeah, I'll be
appealing.
watching porn and then I'm like, oh, I didn't know that hole okay, Jesus Christ. And then I'm like completely confused. But then my friend also said that guys have a different arousal than girls. Like, I want to see the lead up. I want to see the teasing. I want to see the mind. I want to plot. I want to see, are they into it? Where guys are like, just fast forward to when they come.
Right. They want the cum shot. Well, what I like about porn, it's so true. That's what they want. They're
like he's like, fast forward, and I'm like, absolutely not.
My boyfriend does that too. He fast forward to it. I'm like, But we got time.
I'm sorry, I don't just want to see like semen coming out of a dick. That doesn't.
Not hot.
That's not. How am I gonna come from that 3 seconds?
Right. I want to know how she met the ski instructor that she's fucking. Like, how did they meet?
Was she good in the lesson? Did she need his help? Was it cold?
Right. Did they do black diamond? Like, what happened? Like, show me everything. Right. We want this is how men and women are different. In many ways, we are so the same.
Yeah.
Like when I first started this, I was like, oh, we are very different. But no, we all like want similar things. But where it is different is that particular area where a lot of guys are like, I just want the cum shot, and we kind of want more of a plot.
But it's funny because guys are watching men to see a man come. They're self-actualizing too.
Mm-hmm. They are kind of,
Like they're not watching women masturbate. They want to see a dude have sex with a girl. Isn't that interesting?
I guess so. Yeah, that is interesting.
Where I would rather just watch a girl.
I just like watching girls, but that's common. Not most. It's common for women. Some of women's love watching other women have sex. They do.
Why
like
is
that's.
that?
I think it's because it's the kind of sex that we want. Maybe when another woman's going down, a woman like, oh, she knows the parts. I think that we all like. Many of us like oral sex, and we like attention being.
And it feels safe
paid to us. It feels safe and soft, and it's fun to watch women's bodies. And
yeah.
I think it just feels non-threatening.
It's so nuanced.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you said the word ethical before, because when I was going through your book, you had a lot of stuff about like ethical open relationships.
Mm-hmm.
What is ethical
Ethical non-monogamy.
What's going on?
Okay, well, here's the thing. So I was actually late with Smart Sex getting it to my publisher because I realized at the last minute I have to have a chapter on non-monogamy.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have a chapter on different kinds of relationships because, well, not non-monogamy or ethical non-monogamy has been around for a long time. There's definitely more interest in it right now. More people are being open, polyamorous, swinging, all the things. So ethical non-monogamy refers to people in a relationship who decide that they're going to have other lovers, and it looks a lot of different ways. So it could be that you are a couple who's married or committed, but you have a partner that you you have threesomes every once in a while, and you have all these boundaries around it. Like you decide when the person, when you're going to find the person. Maybe you're in a throuple. Maybe you are in a polyamorous relationship, meaning that each one of you have other sexual partners, but you're each other's primary partner. Maybe you just go to sex parties, play parties once a month or when you want to, and you're still open. So, but there's a lot of misconceptions about ethical non-monogamy, and it's for people who want to spice it up. It's for people who, and that can't be further from the truth. Like people who are having bad sex in their relationship, do not jump into ethical non-monogamy. That is a fucking disaster. Like, let's just go bang someone else and see how that goes. Like, not going to go well. It's for couples who are like, we are so good and loving and connected, and let's go experiment sex with somebody else. Like that's what it is.
So do you think that everyone can have this mindset, or it's a certain type of person?
A certain type. It's not for everybody, but I think the reason why I'm talking about it, and it's funny because I actually got a question this morning that said, I feel so bad that I don't think that non-monogamy is for me and everyone's doing it. I'm like, no, that is not.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I not gay? And why do I not want to have multiple partners? I've never had a threesome.
Right, exactly. Well, who knows? The life is still young. It could still happen. But it's more like, I think it's more like that monogamy doesn't work for a lot of people. And it gives people permission to say like, okay, there are other ways to relationship than what society has deemed the only way to relationship, which really monogamy initially was set when women became the property of men, right?
Yes.
And it was all about like, property and men
and
owning
having
women
a virgin,
and having a virgin, the whole thing. Right, exactly. But but for other people who realize
is the patriarchy controlling my sex life?
Yeah, they are.
So it's not feminist of me to be married right now.
No, it's not what?
It's not feminist of me to be married right now.
It is. It's feminist for you you are such a feminist. To choose it. And to probably have a very equitable relationship,
Do you think that there's a certain type of person that tends to go into ethical non-monogamy, or is it you really see like a range?
You see a range. You really do see a range. But I think it's people who are kind of like, you know what? I love my partner. This is their mindset. Their mindset is that, and I don't know if this is like a personality type. I wouldn't break it down that way, but it's
like I'm wondering, is there like a specific like signs in astrology that do it, or like
probably not. I mean, but I think it's more like people who are just very open sexually, who are like, you know what? They can understand. There's something called compersion. people in open relationships have this thing called compersion. What it means is and these people, it's true. Like I take pleasure from seeing my partner have pleasure. Like we have such great trust and communication that I love knowing that you went off and had this experience, or we had a threesome, and I loved watching this person go down on you, and I loved because you were so happy and in ecstasy that I wasn't jealous.
Yeah.
I actually felt this joy from that.
Yeah.
And so, and it's not that people in open relationships don't have jealousy; they do, but they learn to kind of work through it in a way that they talk about it. They're like, "This made me jealous," and then it sort of becomes, usually jealousy is there's a great lesson in jealousy, like.
Yeah, I heard from my friend who's in an open relationship previously on the pod, Ashley Gavin, that once they overcame, like she basically said, hey, I met someone and I actually had feelings for her, but I just want you to know, and like I'm not going to talk to her anymore. They worked through it, and she was like, it's the closest I've ever been. And then she also got to the concept of feelings, like feelings is that dopamine hit that you get that I have with this person. So why would I want to like start that over and complicate and lose this like comfortableness? It's very complicated, but in a fascinating way that like I love that we're thinking about it in a less black and white way.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's still complicated, but monogamy is complicated for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
People are like, am I supposed to have sex with one person for the rest of my life? Could I see sex as something that's just more like a sport? Like some night, like we went to the theater tonight. Like we went to a sex party, had sex with other people tonight, and then we went home to each other.
What is a
emotion.
play party?
So a play party is we just did a great podcast. If you go to Sex with Emily, I think it's called What Happens at a Sex Party, something like that, something sex party. And a play party is essentially where you have to be invited, and it's typically couples and single women. And there are gay ones and there's lesbians, but it's the ones that I'm talking to it's like more, it's a little bit more hetero, but it's like a straight couple, perhaps. But again, there's so many different kinds. But okay, the ones I went to, it depends on who you are. But this is basically how they go down is this way, no matter actually who you're fucking.
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of going down. It kind of, here's the funny thing. It starts and I went to one recently. So I can tell you, it starts like a regular party where and there's one called Kinky Rabbit, which everyone can look up. It's in LA if you want to apply. Some of them are more exclusive than others. But you get an invitation, they vet you usually, because people are like, oh, great, there's going to be creepy people. It is the most consensual place where you have to, be vetted. There's really strict rules. You're not just going up and, having sex with somebody. You are really asking permission. But anyway, it starts off like a regular party. Sometimes there's costumes. Like the one I went to was it was like dress in lingerie. It was what was the theme again? Like bedroom nightgown, sexy things. Which would make sense for a sex party. Another time was like a Valentine's Day one where I don't even know. That was also lingerie. Okay, so I've been to a few. But there's themes. But you get there and people are just talking and they're drinking or they're whatever. It's like a regular party. But then after an hour, you're like, oh, are they having sex over there? Oh, there's piles of bodies having sex, or these people go off into this room and people are just sort of having consensual sex with people that they've met at a party, and then they go home with their partners. And for a lot of couples, I met, and I was of course interviewing people. They're not on. I didn't have my mic, but I was like, so how long? Well, we've been together 20 years, and our sex life was, we realized that we kind of wanted to explore, and we this one couple flies in from London every month to go to this party in LA, where that's the one time a month where they explore. I think she's with other women and he's with women too, or couples have all different kinds of arrangements, but basically it's a safe place where they can go live out fantasies or have other experiences, and then they go back home. And it's isolated there. And what's great for many couples is that they then use it as fodder. That's their own porn. They're like, oh, that was so hot, watching you with somebody else. Or maybe it's just that one thing they need to kind of rekindle their own flame.
But you're right. There is a separation of entertainment and a fun experience versus being we're here to fall in love with people. But then, polyamory is also
is a little bit different. That's tricky. It's all tricky. I could go to a play party and fall in love with someone.
Yeah.
You could be monogamous and you could walk into Walgreens and fall in love with someone too. Yeah. So it's all that could happen. And it does happen. It's true. But yeah, polyamory is more I'm going on dates with people separate than my partner. But a play party, I think, is a fun place for people to start.
And it sounds like if everyone's on the same page, everyone's I'm here to have fun. No one's hey, do you want to leave your husband? Yeah. Everyone is in that same mindset.
Exactly.
So it's it must be a crazy energy.
It is. It's crazy energy. It's fun though. It's really, really fun.
Have you ever had any awkward moments?
I haven't. No, I've had fun experiences. I've played around at parties.
Yeah.
I didn't even talk about this in my podcast. So I was like, I'm not going to talk about my sex life in my podcast, but I'm going to talk about it in your podcast, Hannah. Yeah, we played. My partner and I had some fun, and it was really hot.
And you don't have to play if you don't want to.
No, that's the other thing. You do not have to have sex at a sex party. It's kind of like, what was I going to say? I was thinking about it. It's kind of like karaoke. Like you get there and you're like, should I not? You go to karaoke bar, you're like, I'm not going to sing. There's no fucking way I'm not singing. And then you're like, maybe I will.
And then
maybe
it's please give the mic to someone else.
But then you're like, maybe I will. I think a sex party's like that. Like you don't have to do karaoke. You don't have to have sex, but you might want to. And if you don't, that's what I'm telling you. It's the most open. No one's checking you out. No one's making you feel bad because literally people are vetted. And if the party, vetted by meaning they fill out a form, they signed a release, they have talks when they come in. It's very consensual. There's condoms everywhere and people are just sort of there for the same reason to have a good time and rub their nerve endings up against each other.
I have to ask you, I love that. I have to ask you the thing that was going around on TikTok where people were getting all worked up about body counts. And obviously, I asked dudes on the street, but what is your opinion on this day and age, people still talking about body counts and how it matters for a woman versus a man? Don't punch a wall.
So much.
Someone accidentally sent me something, and some guy was literally still using the metaphor of being about the key in the hole.
What? I don't know the metaphor.
They was key is a master lock and could open everything. That's what you want, but you don't want a lock that can be opened by everything.
Oh God.
I was like, what? And then I got stuck on YouTube, and the guy was like, yeah, that's just a fact. But what's so funny is I could lie to your face and be like, one, and you would never know.
No, I don't think we should. Yeah, exactly. Well, yes.
Also, people having sex with one person can have way more sex than someone who had sex with 4 different people in a month.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Also, I'm 31. What do you want me to do? Be hiding in a corner for 31 years?
Right, exactly. People are so judgy about this. And this is actually, I'm glad you brought this up because this is why literally I wrote this book, Smart Sex, because smart sex is not about, you are not good in bed or having great sex because you slept with so many people. That does not make you a great lover.
And it doesn't make you bad at sex if you've had a lot of sex.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that because I hear from so many women. And even last night I was at an event and a woman said to me I'm so nervous because I'm dating a guy and he has more experience than I do. That doesn't matter. Every time you have sex with somebody, you have the opportunity to create a sexual experience with that person starting where you're at. It's not like you're well, I've got this move I'm going to bring in because I've been with so many people. And this is I'm telling you, I've been with the guy who's been with hundreds of women.
Yeah.
He was not my best lover, pounding.
Yeah.
That just means he could stick his dick in a lot of holes. It does not mean that he was, because what a great lover is, they are attentive. They listen. They ask questions. They pay attention to what you want. They remember. They care about your desires. You could create that with any person. It is not about the number.
That's the same thing just with people in general. People be like, oh, this is a high-value man or a high-value woman. I'm like, it's about chemistry between 2 people. I don't give a fuck what college you went to.
Exactly.
That's not going to make me come.
Exactly. That is not. Right. I don't want.
Absolutely not.
No, not
and
at
even
all.
I've heard porn stars speak about they'll feel guys get nervous when they have sex with them because oh, she's a porn star. I better have some crazy moves. And she's like, I just want you to see me.
Yeah. I think we all, exactly.
And connect with me and know what I want and listen to me.
That's what we all want. That's exactly it. We want to be seen. Mm-hmm. We want somebody to look into our eyes sometimes, to ravish us, to pay attention. I think we all want pleasure and to be seen. And yeah, I mean, porn stars too. Right? Porn stars are people too. They're not, and I get that too. People are like, what is it like when guys sleep with you? They must be intimidated or whatever. I'm like, I am not swinging from the rafters. I am not
It's okay if you're into that.
Sometimes maybe, but I'm just I just want to
I just envisioned you Tarzan being I'm coming!
Yeah, with dildos hanging from my body and I got a tool belt with lube on one side. And,
where'd you get that vine?
Exactly. Maybe every once in a while it'd be hot, but no, there's a lot of pressure on sex and what it should be. And yeah, the body count thing, even the name body count is so negative.
You're like, I'm not murdering people.
Exactly. Like, it's not a bad thing. And let me just tell you this. This might be helpful for people because I don't think that I wish, Hannah, I know you have a lot of listeners and people who love you and listen to your show. Unfortunately, I think that people are always going to judge on the number of people you slept with because this has come up for years. But I also want to let people know that you don't have to answer the question.
Yes.
And I did not know that. I was like, oh, well, if someone asks, you got to do it.
My thing is, I actually don't know. Like, I wasn't keeping track.
Right.
Like, what? Did I have an Excel doc? No. Yeah. Also, there's those moments where you're like, was that sex? Did that even, like,
exactly. Define sex for me.
I'm not counting that guy.
Right, exactly.
That was half in and then it didn't work. Like, I'm not putting that on my count. I don't have a list. I couldn't tell you. And I even joked with my friend. I'm like, you ever forget if you fucked a guy or not?
I do.
I do. Because I'm about the games, you know? I'm like, ooh, and I'm like, did we end up? Or how did that end? I don't even know. But
I've run into guys, I'm like, did we have sex? And then you feel bad because if you did, he's like, oh, great. God, it was that good. And then if you...
But it's like, yeah, I'm not fucking keeping track. I'm not like in a jail cell counting the days of people I murdered. So also for the straight listeners, there's, this big orgasm gap. Is there a way for girlies to communicate to have more orgasms in this? Because let's be honest, we can have multiple orgasms. They can't.
Yeah, they can't.
How
That's
do
where
you
we're different.
organize this, 10, 20, 30-minute thing we're doing in bed? Because if you get him too early, it's like he'll do it, but you're like, because after men come, they're like, they can't even form a
sleeping
sentence.
or eating pizza. Yeah, exactly.
Or eating pizza.
Exactly, like something they like roll over, like Sports Center, and then they're done. You're like, where's my orgasm?
Yeah. Or if you come once, it's like that's not really enough.
Right, for us, yeah. Well, women, this is the thing. I teach this to women all the time. Like, we have this amazing refractory period. So men, they have a refractory period means the time after orgasm that you can come again. For men, it's a lot longer. Like, it's not as easy for men to come twice. But for women, we are like built for orgasm. Mm-hmm. And just because you haven't, like, I hadn't had multiple orgasms until I really made this my life work.
Wow. I
was like faking orgasms. I was 35 too, just so you know. Like, this was like my second career. So I really just was like faking them, didn't know I have orgasm. But the orgasm gap is real. So let's just explain what that is for a minute. Because, like, first off, yes, we can have multiple orgasms. And the gap refers to this. It refers to two things that I just think that people need to understand because it is something that we can, and to be aware of it so we can close the gap. The first thing is that and there have been many studies on this, that in most situations, any man, most men are going to orgasm. Like 9.5 out of 10 men will have an orgasm in most situations. Mm-hmm. Straight women, it's like 40 to 60%. Mm-hmm. Lesbian couples, much higher.
Yeah, they're
because they know the parts. They're coming. Yeah. They're like, of course I'm coming. I come, you come. We're all going to come.
We're all coming.
But we don't because...
I joke, I'd get a U-Haul too if I just couldn't stop coming with someone.
Exactly. You're like, this is it. I'm in. I know the parts. We're in. Like, oh my God, I love it. So, but with straight, so that's the gap is that men. And then the other gap is that for the majority of men, they're going to come in between like 8, and there's always dispute in this, like 8 to 10 minutes, let's say, a man's going to orgasm. For women, on average, it's between 20 and 40 minutes. So therein lies the gap that you referred to. The math is not mathing. So this is what you got to do. First off, there was like one of the best sex books I think that was written, besides mine, of course. It's called She Comes First. It was by Ian Kerner. Came out like 20 years ago. And just that notion of like, I know I'm going to get there, but let me make sure that I can get her there, right? So oral sex, majority of women are going to orgasm from a mouth or toys or fingers, and not necessarily from a penis at all. So if you're and I'm not saying that there are many that can, like, I mean, what is it? 20% of women, 25 can orgasm during penetration.
But it's interesting. It's so interesting that we have the same bodies with the same sexual organs, but some women come in different ways. Like, that's wild.
Mm-hmm. It is wild. We all come in, exactly. We come in
and the way we come the most, no one tells us about.
I know. We come the right. No one because I don't want to say the patriarch again because that's like
No,
three
it's okay.
times in one interview.
We could blame him on
Because
everything.
I'm so not like that, and like half my audience is men too. Like on my podcast, and I love men. I mean,
But men are self-aware. They know what they did.
They are. They do what they did. Some do. But yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, we need to know about all of these things. Wait, well, what did you say? I just got sidetracked. Wait, the patriarchy.
But we were talking about
Wait.
how women have orgasms mostly like toys and mouth and clit.
Okay, because since the beginning of time that we can remember, fucking sex is based on penetration because penetration leads to babies, procreation. And so we are in a, like religion has dictated a lot of our laws. And so if you think sex is only supposed to happen for procreation, that we think any other kind of sex is wrong. So we focus on it. Penis goes in vagina, PV sex as we call it in the business. That is the only kind of sex. But here we are saying that women don't realize. I mean, I felt so broken for so many years that I was not orgasming from jackhammer sex because that's the only sex I was having. And I wasn't even, sometimes I wouldn't feel anything. I got kind of numb. And it was like, because I realized that a lot of the magic starts on the outside. Like our vulvas is where, and that's the external part of your vagina where the clitoris is. There's all these nerve endings. Go 5 times slower, warm her up, use your mouth, get her to play with her nipples. Like we are covered in nerve endings. And then that's why foreplay is not just a suggestion. It's actually like a requirement for us.
Do you think girlies should make it a rule that before they have sex, he should make you come?
I just say like a rule, but I think consciousness and an intention that I'm not just because girlies like me too, I did this for a lot. I was like, oh, we're having sex. I'm going to give you a blowjob, right? It was all about the blowjob. Blowjobs get the best press. Or cunnilingus, which is a terrible word. Like oral, a lot of people don't know cunnilingus anymore, that term, which is oral sex on a woman. Terrible press.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's going to smell. And we are our own worst enemies. He's going down to us. We're like, it's taking too long. Do I smell? Does he really want to do it? Right?
Yeah.
Like, let me just give you a blowjob.
Yep.
So that's what happened. We see it in movies, whatever. We have not glorified oral sex. And I'm here to, and so then guys don't do it. So I think that what girlies can do is
DJ Khaled was saying he doesn't like it. That's huge publicity.
That was huge. But people went after him. I remember I was angry that day. I was so fucking pissed when he was like, what did he say? Like
Vince was like, I don't go down on my wife.
Yeah.
And like, I don't like it or
I don't
something.
like it or it's whatever. But I'm telling you, but also it's on us. And a lot of in Smart Sex, I talk about in the oral sex chapter about learning to receive too, because there's a lot of women who are like, I don't even want to receive because I have shame about my parts, because I feel like he doesn't want to do it. So really, I think having the intention, being with a partner who you know wants to please you. And if you're a guy with a woman, I'm telling you, my best advice for you is to say to her, when you're going down on her, relax. I'm not going anywhere. We have all night.
Yes.
And then you can tell her how good she smells, how good she tastes, lay back. And then she's going to be able to relax into her body and truly receive. Because there's a lot of women who are like, I don't like it. I can't do it. So especially younger women, I want to say, but it's actually a lot, all women.
Do you think talking during sex is helpful?
Like just about
Sexy
what
talk.
you want? Dirty talk? I love dirty talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for some, again, it could be whatever turns people on.
Yeah.
I think dirty talk is really, really hot. I think that talking about like giving constructive criticism during sex is not helpful. Like unless you're in pain, be like, that hurts. Like, ow.
But you could like guide, right?
Gently guide for sure.
A
during
gentle
sex.
guide.
A gentle guide is very, very helpful for sure. But I think
you go weak.
Yeah, like, that's what you got. Like, what are you doing there?
Or if it turns him on, I could see he wants to be like that. After all these years, this is all you're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. You want to criticize him in the bedroom. Most constructive sex talks should happen outside the bedroom.
Yes.
But definitely in the bedroom. Guide, show them what you like. Reinforce. That's the other thing. Reinforce. Be like, that was great sex last night. This is what we got to encourage people to do. Like
a high five.
Play by play. A high five. I've done that with my partner. I'm like, that was friggin' awesome.
I mean, it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
And I do feel like, you're not just like watching him waiting to see what he does. Like you guys are doing this thing together. But I know with myself, TMI, the sex feels better if I orgasm before it.
Yes, absolutely. The penetration feels better.
I think it feels better for him too.
Yeah.
Because I'm like ready to go.
You can orgasm again? Sometimes?
I can orgasm again, but penetration's not my thing.
Yeah.
Never was. I mean, I probably could like focus harder.
It's another thing on your to-do list.
I could probably meditate on that.
You've got a lot of skills. It's okay.
I'm a little bit.
You're good.
But I find together is good. Together. But that I discovered by myself.
What together?
That penetration and like toy and clitoral.
Yes, clitoral, yes.
But that's
amazing.
way too many moving pieces to like have a guy experiment with you for like when I was young.
Yeah, I think we have to normalize vibrators and clitoral stimulation because that is where the magic is. I just have to tell you that externally is where women, the majority of them, are going to orgasm. And even the women who can orgasm during penetration, it's because usually they're grinding their pelvic bone against, like if they're on top, which is also the position.
So it's not penetration.
No, it's not. Think about it. Like if the penis is going inside to the back of the vagina, that's not going to feel good.
Yeah.
But if there's some rubbing,
Yes.
so if you're on top and you're like rubbing and grinding your pelvic floor on it, that's what can feel great. And there's also studies that show that the women who can orgasm during penetration, there's like a study, a research that shows that their clitoris is closer to their vaginal opening. And if your clitoris, the closer it is to your vaginal opening, which simply means your clitoral nerves are being rubbed.
So you're having a clitoral
it's literally the way you're born.
penetration orgasm.
That's what it is.
Wow. And you can't tell just by looking at it, probably.
Unfortunately, no. Sorry, guys. But you'll know.
You'll feel it.
You'll feel it.
I really am so obsessed with sexual education. I've been doing this thing where I'm asking guys the shape of a clitoris.
Oh, I saw you on the street. That's
The street stuff. I'll do the
love
shape
your
of the
street stuff.
Thank you.
Girl.
But it's so funny to me because these are like smart, like successful people, and we'll bring people on stage sometimes during Giggly Squad shows and ask married men like about clitoris. And I know because when I was 18 and I learned the shape of a clitoris, I was like, wait, I did not know that, and I'm a woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the amount of men, and it's like, it's not embarrassing. It's like, now you know. The more you know. And because people think the shape of it is just like a circle or something.
They think it's like this little tiny bud.
Yeah, little
But it is a
bean.
wishbone. Like literally the clitoris is this little bud, but then it has 12,000 nerve endings that extend. A circumcised penis has 4,000.
Wow.
We have 3 times the amount of nerve endings. And so it is that little bud, but if you look at it this way, I wish I brought my vulva puppet. Usually I have it with me. I have a vulva puppet. Did I use it last time we talked maybe on our Zoom?
You might have.
I probably did. I always like whip it out, but I didn't bring it to New York. But I should have. But it's like
She's in LA.
Like, so I live in LA and I forgot my friggin' vulva puppet. I'm so mad. Can we pull it up on the screen? No, because it's like I need to show you.
I'll pop it up on the screen. Yeah.
Okay. So here's your clitoris. But then it has legs. The clitoris has legs. So you know when you rub the labia, which is the lips, sometimes that can feel good too with a light touch. It's because you are stroking the legs of the clitoris.
Yeah.
It's going deep inside of us.
Yeah.
We got to know that shit.
Yes, and that's why you could go like side to side and it hits something.
Exactly. The Kiven method. That's also in my book. That is a top oral sex move. That's a thigh to thigh movement. You are hitting more nerve endings rather than up and down.
And I think if guys got like nerdy with this, it would be cool.
I love a nerdy sex guy. Yeah,
like
get cool.
get into it like it's a video game that you have to figure out.
Exactly.
And you're on this journey instead of just kind of being like, I'm tall.
Yeah, I'm tall. Exactly. I'm tall. I'm going to get laid no matter what. And like, it doesn't mean that it's good sex. And the good thing about though, why I wrote this book, Too Smart Sex, is because it doesn't mean like you don't get to a point where first off, you're like, I won the awards. I'm smart at sex. Now I can go learn to like play golf or cook.
You're not like, I'm a magician now.
No,
you come.
Exactly. It's not so much like that, but it's more like we can actually learn. Like sex is a skill set. Mm-hmm. Just like everything we do in life that we're good at, that we enjoy, we had to work at.
Yep.
You can learn how to be a great lover. And most of us, again, my heart goes out, like even the jackhammer guys, like they don't know any better. Yeah, they watch porn. And women, to be honest, I didn't say anything when I was 18. I was like, this must be it. Like, when is this going to be over? Like, but this must, I didn't think it was okay to speak up. Yeah. And so they don't know either, but it's on us too to like say, hey, I'm learning something. I was listening to Hannah's podcast and I actually, because I know it's hard for people to talk about it and just say, would you love to blame us? I say that all the time, like blame me. Say like Sex with Emily, Hannah Burner said that we actually probably could have a lot to learn here.
I also love that you brought up vibrators because the first person who ever gave me a vibrator was a girlfriend. Because, like, I was too nervous about it.
Yeah.
And she, for whatever reason, was comfortable enough to be like, you're a woman now. And then my one of my other friends, I gave her a vibrator, and after that was her permission to like start like I'm not freaky. My friend gave it to me. It's my friend. She's crazy.
Right.
Let's try it. And then now she cannot have sex without it. So
Okay.
I almost feel like we have to have like a national holiday where you get your girlie a vibrator.
Absolutely.
Like buy your friend a vibrator. I think it's a
love
great gift.
That. That's all.
Because if a guy gets it for you, you're like, okay, creepy.
Unless you guys talk about it ahead of time.
Unless it's like.
But I love that idea. I mean, it's funny because I do that anyway. Like if you had me, this is what I do. Like if you had a dinner party or if you invite me to a dinner party, hopefully we'll hang out. Yeah. I will bring people. I don't bring wine. I bring a bottle of lube.
Yes.
I bring a sex toy. And if it's a baby shower, I bring this rubber ducky sex toy that goes in the shower that looks like a rubber ducky and a sex toy because people don't do it enough. But I love the idea of gifting pleasure.
Yes.
You're literally saying, I love our friendship. I want you to have more orgasms, which
literally.
are good for you. It's the best idea.
To this day, my friend and I will talk about it. She'll be like, remember when you got me? It was like a pepper. It was like a cute pepper. And then I got her one that was like a lipstick. And she thought it was so cool.
That's so cool. There are lipstick vibes. Yeah, it's true. I love that you did that. I mean, I think like just
but it's
like take the shame out of it.
It was literally like Starbucks, like when you like buy for the person behind you. Like that's how I think the girlies have to do it.
I love this idea. Should we do it like National Vibrator Day?
I think there needs to be like
we don't.
Buy your bestie a vibe or something.
Exactly.
We'll talk to the marketing teams.
Okay, let's do it. Let's talk to our marketing teams and we could maybe
we'll do a collab of some kind.
I would love that. Let's do it.
People talk to my
I always want to go. Exactly. I always want to go cross country on a bus and have like a lube dispenser on the back and just like throw toys out the window and be like, this is the Sex with America tour. And I just want to hand out vibes. Do you want to do that? Do you go on a bus for your comedy tours?
I
don't. I don't go on buses
but
anymore.
I would, because you have to like, it's a lot of logistics.
Yeah.
But I love a bus. I would do it. I can sleep anywhere.
Yeah, same. Party on a bus.
Finally, because we've done a full hour.
So
You've
fun.
been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
How did you have the balls, no pun intended, to do this and not have people say, look at that sex talking slut?
It's a great question. And I think I honestly have never been that obsessed with what people think of me. In other ways I do. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't call that person back. Are they mad at me? But with this shit, I don't worry about. I'm like, fuck it. Because once I started getting into the business of pleasure, once I started like realizing like, oh my God, women need to know. Like, it was like what you're saying, like, I can't believe we didn't know. I couldn't stop talking about sex with everybody that I didn't even fucking care.
Yeah.
I was like, you can come after me all you want.
Also,
but
people
did you
coming
know?
after you are not coming.
Exactly. If you're judging me about sex and you're judging myself and you think it's a terrible thing and it's sinful, like you're not. Yeah, you need to be having a lot more pleasure. Yeah. And I just honestly I really didn't even think about it because I was so, when you were, it's like I was in the zone. I was like, this is changing the world.
You
I
felt
just
like you found your path.
I found my path. You know what it's like when you felt like you probably feel this way when you do like your sets or your comedy and you're like, I know. I knew the first podcast that this is talking about sex, that this is my career. Like I felt like this is the one. I'm in.
I love it so much because I'll do like influencing and stuff and sexual wellness companies will reach out with vibes or lube. And I remember other girls being like, I would never do partnerships like that. But I remember when I'd read the brief, I'd be like, this is educating women. I'm like, this is sexual health.
Sexual health.
I'm not just like selling dildos in a way to be like, I don't know what they thought it was, but I was like, this is helping more than that T-shirt you're promoting.
Exactly. And do you realize that this was probably only 5 years ago, right? That it was still shameful a little bit.
Yes. I started like, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was like, oh, even my agent was like, oh no, like no one's gonna, you got to change the name of your show. That was like 18 years. He's like, you'll never get a sponsor. So yeah. Like I was with a big agency and they were like, oh yeah, like we love it. Sex with Emily. That's really cute, but you'll never get a sponsor, right? You'll never get out there. I mean, it was different in 2005 for sure than it is now.
And you wanted to keep sex because you could have said pleasure. You could have said you wanted to just.
I wanted to keep sex with Emily. Like I wanted to be like, this is what it is. I mean, not really sex. People are like it's just literally. I thought I would get definitely get people's attention, but also I just knew, and I knew that right away. When I got great responses from people and they had questions, and I knew that I wasn't alone. Because at the beginning, I wasn't the expert. I went back to school and got my doctorate early on. I was just like learning with everybody, and it was like, oh my God, people were like, I had my first orgasm now, and I'm learning so. That's
Well,
how it
you
happened.
are doing so many amazing things for this planet, for pleasure for everybody. I highly recommend you guys go read her. What number book are you on?
Smart Sex. This is my second book.
Your second book, Smart Sex. Dr. Emily Morse. Where
Thanks
can
for having
people
me.
follow you? Get the book. Give me the tea.
Okay, you can find me Sex with Emily everywhere. Sexwithemily.com. We have a new marketplace we just launched with all of my favorite toys. Sex with Emily on social media. My podcast is Sex with Emily. We release 2 episodes a week, and you can buy the book wherever you buy books. Smart Sex.
Yay. Thanks so much
Yay.
for coming.
Thanks for
We'll talk
having
to
me.
you later. Bye.